Good morning, Paddy. Welcome
Morning, Brad.
to welcome to Business Owner Spotlight this week. Thanks for taking the time out to get involved. Excited to hear a bit more about your business. And do you want to just start off and introduce yourself and let everybody know what you do?
Yeah, so my name's Paddy Black, and most people know me as PJ, but pretty much I started off as a personal trainer. I've moved into opening a gym. I now run a gym, a fitness academy, a business mentoring program, and run and sell franchises. So quite a transformation in the last sort of 12, 13 years, but in a nutshell, that's pretty much what I do.
13 years to be an overnight success is sort of springing to mind there.
Yeah, as everybody likes to say, and a lot of highs and a lot of lows.
Yeah.
Like every business owner, essentially.
So you mentioned a number of facets to the business, but who would be your ideal customers? Who would you most like to talk to and promote yourself to?
Obviously, that depends on what side of the business we're talking about. If we're talking about people coming in and using the gym, pretty much what we try and sell is the benefits and the transformation. So my perfect client is somebody who is not happy within themselves, is not confident, basically wants to reclaim what they felt when they were in their youth, because we typically work with 30 plus. So people who want to be fitter for their kids, have different perspectives, are not really interested in maybe six-pack abs, but want to be pretty much the best version of themselves. So what we try and implement alongside the gym is stuff like time management, how to cope with stress, like different mechanisms for people to use in day-to-day life. When we're talking about the fitness academy, we want the best coaches physically possible. We set a standard that this is not just an industry where you're going to turn up and wear a pair of shorts and drink protein shakes all day. Like, coaching has evolved so much that it is a massive service-based industry. So people who want to help other people, so putting other people before yourself, is probably the people we're looking for in terms of with the academy. And when we recruit internally from our academy. First thing we look for is people skills, being personable. Everything in terms of the gym we can teach and evolve and develop over time, but just being that person who wants to see people succeed, puts a lot of time and energy, is perfect for those. In terms of the business mentoring, it's a continuation of that. There's people who are maybe struggling with their marketing or the certain systems that they have in their business. They want to buy back more time, more freedom. And then franchises obviously are people who want to add another revenue to their business. So sorry if that's multifaceted.
That's it. You know what? It's covering all bases. You're sort of like, you can take somebody from who wants to train and take somebody all the way to the other end where they're running a business that trains people. So I think it's really cool. And one of the things I picked up on there is you can teach everybody the skills around the gym, but it's the attitude that you need to have that you can't teach.
Yeah, everyone will tell you that the key to any business in any industry is the people.
Yeah.
When you have good people, you have a good business. And we just talked off there about what drives that. You hear a lot of buzzwords like culture and stuff like that these days. It does start with the culture, but that starts from the top, and how that is set and then how that is, maintained is so important.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. I mean, people are going to be the people that get you there at the end of the day. You can't do it all yourself.
Yeah.
So what's been you've said there's like 13 years and a lot of highs, a lot of lows. What's been your biggest learning as a business owner?
Actually learning the business side of it. When everybody gets into business, we all start with a passion. I heard a stat there. I can't remember the year, but since the turn of millennium, before that, 7% of people wanted to open their business. It's now evolved to 70% of people want to open their business, whether they want to open a business on Etsy, whether they want to run, an in-house, online, whatever it may be. So the change is sort of happening there, but the biggest learning curve was the business. We wanted to help people. We were passionate about coaching, but we had no clue how to run a business. And we literally were chasing our tails for a very, very long time, until we found people like yourself and business coaches who helped us understand that if you can take some of that passion and put it into a business, then everything tends to get better. And I went from working maybe 60, 70 hours a week to, if I'm lucky, I probably work 15 to 20 hours a week.
But that's it. It's people have this misconception that, you know, to succeed they have to work really hard. But I mean, you've found a way to work smarter there by the sounds of things.
Yeah, and again, like I said, I can't put that down to myself. There is obstacles you come up against, and you gotta, circumvent them. You gotta go over them. But sometimes the most important thing is you don't really have clarity. You tend to have blinkers on, and you look at things in a very one-dimensional direction. Where when you have people who are coaches who have been there, who have done it, who have helped people succeed in the industry you're in, or even, you know, industries that are similar, because every business now is not business to business, it's business to consumer, it's business to people. So there's always a way that we can learn, and I'm in a fortunate position. I have people come to my gym who run businesses, and very, very successful businesses, restaurant owners, and I'm fortunate enough that I get to coach them. I only coach the ones I like to coach at this minute, but what I'm doing is I'm picking their brains all the time. I'm like, what can I learn from you? I go into, some of the guys who own, Michelin star restaurants here. Yeah. And I'm watching them in the kitchen, and I'm watching their staff, and my partner's just like, I'm like a meerkat, but I'm trying to absorb everything because it's a service industry. I'm in a service industry. Yeah. It's like, what can I learn? So probably that is the best thing I've ever had, was people reaching out, and do you know what? Probably letting go of an ego.
Yeah.
You'll probably have experienced it before. Nobody wants to know that their business is not doing well or not succeeding. We hate this. We bury it up. It leads into other things like drinking, or not looking after our health or fitness. So it's sometimes when you come to terms with that, and someone genuinely wants to help, I think that's the biggest change we've seen.
But it's interesting to hear you talking there as well, and it's all about being open to it. You have to have an open mindset. I mean, if you're looking at it from a point of view of, that restaurant can't teach me anything because I'm a gym. Whereas you can say, no, look, there are parallels, and I just want to, you mentioned there being a sponge.
Oh yeah, 100%. And that's why I go into businesses now, regardless of what the industry is. If it's a service-based industry, then I'm looking at that. If it's a product-based, I'm going, what is the after service that is provided there? Like I had a little bit of a naughty experience with, I'm not familiar, if you're familiar with the Galgorm.
Yeah.
Spa. I love the place. I think it's phenomenal, amazing. Just had a wee bit of an issue, and I spoke to one of the managers, and I said, this is coming from somebody who runs a business. I'm not doing this to have a go. I'm not trying to wrangle some free stuff.
Yeah.
Similar to, a person who runs the business, I'm like, I want to see you just blow it out of the park the whole way. So as you say, setting your ego to the side, wanting to see other people succeed. And if you're familiar with the famous Zig Ziglar quote, to get everything you want in life, you help others get what they want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Because then people tend to want to do things for you.
Yeah, the big wheel comes around, doesn't it?
Yep. And I can't remember the guy's name. I was at a convention in LA. It was a business convention, and this guy had got seed funding to start a new social network. And he had lived in Silicon Valley, and he got funding from Apple's co-owner, John Wozniacki, I think it is.
Yeah.
And he says, what you do for powerful people in positions is you don't keep score. So he Wozniacki needed something done. He says, I'll get it done. And someone asked him, did you have the skill to do it? He's like, nope, but I'll find a way to do it. Yeah. And he says, I never kept score, because those people are keeping score going, oh, hold on a minute. He's helped me before.
Yeah. And
there will be a natural transition, as you say, to turn of the wheel. How can I help you? Without ever asking for it, where most people are coming going, give me.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why it sticks out so much, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what's, I suppose what I would say is, what have you learned? So that's, the biggest thing you've learned as a business. What have you learned about yourself as you've gone along your journey?
Probably an evolution. Like, I would never have considered myself to be a leader. I would never have considered myself to be a proficient business owner. And these are, like we mentioned before, skills that have developed and evolved over time. And one of my biggest things was, especially when we started bringing staff on and things started to become busier, was a position of power was imposed upon me, as opposed to me earning that, Yeah. So just evolving into a person that leads in a certain way, and I lead different than what my business partner leads. But it's complementary, because anytime we have a bit of a run in, we always sit down and we go, okay, what are we trying to achieve? What's the bigger outcome? Forget about our differences and we push towards that. So I would say that evolving. And I truly believe when we do our coaching, there's only really ever is two issues. One, a knowledge or an information issue, as in you don't know it or it's a skill, or it's a self-belief issue in terms of, you're not implementing on something. So again, that's where business coaching, that's where coaching per se, because you can give someone the systems. They have to see that path, and they have to be obviously ready to evolve as well with that. So
sometimes people have everything they need knowledge wise, but there's just distractions and interference holding it back. And is that what you're talking about, removing those distractions?
Like I have had business coaching for a long time, and I recently was getting coaching off a company in the States, and was passing it on to our gym manager that we have now to get him to learn those skills. And halfway through the course, it was a 1-year mentorship, I was like, do you know what? I have way too much information. And I've felt that before, because you feel then overwhelmed. And the online industry, in terms of buying online products, is one of the biggest industries in the world, multi-billion pound industry. And people think by clicking and buying something that will solve the problem. That generally doesn't happen. There is work to be done. And you don't have that clarity where someone like yourself will say, listen, we need to remove some of the obstacles that are in your way. The things that you're worrying yourself, putting out fires in your business, could be handled by someone else. And we had a business mentor, he called it the Oprah Winfrey effect. He was like, Oprah does what Oprah does, right? She doesn't walk into the room and say, let's change the light and let's do the makeup. She does the 5%, the other 95%, what can we delegate? What can we give out? So that's the mentality. It never always works out like that, obviously.
I mean, I've heard it described as a Superman effect. I have to do everything in my business, or Superwoman effect. So, and do you know what I mean? I imagine, or I know from experience, it takes a lot of confidence in yourself to start to give away some of that control in what is essentially your pride and joy, your business.
I
wonder, when you said it was imposed on you as well, how did you handle that? Was there any sort of imposter syndrome, or I'm sure there was some self-doubt that's only natural?
Oh yeah, I think imposter syndrome comes with everything that you do. Doesn't matter what industry you're in, if you're in sport or whatever it is, you will always feel like that sort of imposter syndrome. And I've obviously been teaching and presenting for a long time, so I'm confident now. But at the start, and what I try and tell the people I work with, is there's only two reasons why you're going to feel that imposter syndrome. One, you don't understand, or you don't have the information around what you're talking about. And the second thing is, you're in a room full of your peers and you're getting that butterflies and you're going, someone's going to call me on this. And especially in the fitness industry, when you become a coach, we all tend to have these people we look up to. And then I think the missing piece, apart from, CPDs and continual professional development, is experience. And when you garner enough experience, then you feel like you're a credible source to talk about that. So there is no way that you're going to overcome imposter syndrome straight away. And I would recommend an awesome book from Dan Horowitz, I think it is. It's called The Hard Thing About Hard Things. Software CEO, and one of the best things I took from that book was no one teaches you how to be a CEO. No one teaches you, to be a leader. They can give you, frameworks and stuff like this, but it's you absorbing that information. You're the sum of the 5 or 6 people to spend the most time with, and I think that was probably a big lesson as well for me. Just eliminating distractions from childhood or whatever it is, and being around people who I knew were going to elevate me.
Put yourself in the right environment.
100%.
So look, listen, you can tell your passion and your drive for it all. I mean, it just oozes out, and it's exciting to hear how it's benefited you. I'm just keen to find out if you started your business again, is there anything you would do differently?
That's hard, because obviously adversity is what it makes you grow and develop.
It's double-edged sword, isn't
it? There's probably a few things. Like, the one thing that I wouldn't question back then is my self-development. So I always invested in becoming a better coach. I never invested in becoming a better leader or a better manager or business owner. So back then I would probably do that. And skills are the biggest return of investment you can ever make. So when you invest in something and you learn a skill or you acquire a skill, like that will pay you back tenfold. So because we were on the cusp of, I'll tell you a quick story. We're on the cusp of closing probably a few years ago,
Okay.
way before COVID. And I remember coming home, my partner was like, "Are you okay?" I says, "Yeah." He says, "You don't seem too upset." And I says, "Well, I'm not." I said, "Why?" I says, "Because I've learned too much. I've acquired too much skills, too much knowledge. I know what I would do different."
Yeah.
It's like, so it's not a big deal. Whereas when you start your business, this is your baby. You're driven by fear of failure. You don't want to look bad in front of other people. You don't want to let down your family. And then, there has to be that evolution where like everything will naturally come to a close. Like I'm already looking at an exit strategy from the gym.
Yeah.
Because I'm in my mid-30s. I don't want to be coaching people right up till I'm 50. I see my evolution and obviously my staff and everybody else. So if I was to teach myself 18-year-old, I would just say, listen, go all in with coaching, go all in with developing certain skill sets. Get people who read you, like who rate you well. So if you've heard of the 10,000 hour rule, we had a business mentor, Craig Ball. He was very good with this. He was like, the 10,000 hour rule is full of shit. And the reason why I say this, because imagine you do something wrong for 10,000 hours. What you want to do is 10,000 hours, have expert feedback.
Yeah.
Someone to tell you whether you're doing things right. And then that's going to lead into get better at that and then so forth. If you don't have anything to bounce back off, if I don't have another person to, if I speak to yourself, Scott, and you're like, I think you're missing something with your business that I can't see, then it's like, okay, rather than go and try and fight that, I'm like, okay, maybe that's a different perspective.
Yes.
Maybe I have to look at that. Maybe I have to change something about me. And any successful business owner I know has been malleable in terms of they've learned, they've absorbed, they've changed their styles, they've tried different things. They'll always be authentic, but they'll always be open. So I think, long story short, I would go all in with coaching. I would just have 100% confidence in myself, even though you're going to have imposter syndrome.
That's it. Yeah, trust yourself and go all in. I mean, it can get better advice than that. As a Paddy, loads to unpick there. I sort of feel like we might have to get you back on because there's so many things I wanted to ask more. But look, thanks so much for taking the time today. I picked up a few things from that. I'm excited to share it with everybody else, and I know they will too.
Yep, I appreciate it. Thanks for reaching out, bud.